Good morning and welcome to day 3 of the Virtual Adolescent Literacy Model Foundations training. Again, my name is Roland. I'm here with Ashley and Jen. And here is your intro for day 3. We've got 2 days in the bank and we are moving forward with our planning, thinking about the MDLS and how we can design to support students in learning in our classrooms in this virtual environment as we go back to school. Today we shift away from writing to learn and academic dialogue with a focus on reading comprehension. It's a really important one. We've already had some conversation about what is text through the mini module, and then we finish up with our planning and feedback loops around the MDLS framework. So we'd like to give you all a couple shout outs. So Jen, do you want to get us started?
Yeah, I'd love to. My group today had some really great thinking. Their paired verbal fluency. A lot of people went back in after our deep dive calls and continued their dialogue with their partner. And so I think they had a lot of really rich conversations and connections with each other, which was really nice. And then I loved that one of my participants, Shay, I love how he said it. He said this idea of verbally sharing with each other kind of humanizes the content. And I thought that was really, really insightful. And during our deep dive calls, we just had a lot of really great wonders from that video in the Writing to Learn independent module. And we had a lot of ideas that generated from that inquiry that surfaced from watching that video. So a lot of great discussions today. So thank you, everybody. Ashley, what about you?
Well, you know, I love making meaning through metaphor, so I'm going to go there in my shout outs today. So we finished building our smoothie. We picked 2 ingredients, and I kind of synthesized that by asking the question, how did this process serve as a metaphor for the classroom? And the things that the teachers were coming up with were so great. Like, I made a whole page of notes here of what I heard them say. So things like paying attention to our outcomes helps us pick the components. So those who wanted to pick based on health, that, you know, really informed what they chose. And those who were picking just for taste, that affected what they were picking depending on their outcome. They talked about how sometimes picking the wrong combinations in terms of strategies can create bad experiences. So you wouldn't want to put 2 smoothie ingredients together that might create a bad taste, like maybe ginger and peanut butter might be an odd combination. And then one teacher said, always choosing the strategies that are best fit for us as the facilitator, so something that we're comfortable with and that makes sense in our content area. Just like you wouldn't pick peanut butter if you have an allergy to it. You don't want to pick a strategy that doesn't speak to you. So anyway, great conversation. I'm going to keep those metaphors coming more tomorrow, or today, I guess.
Yeah. So again, this is the end of day 2. We're doing our debrief call and doing some reflection and getting this ready for you. So I've got one quick shout out, and this is from Gina Gillis. On that first activity that we did, where we were really talking about that difference between content literacy and disciplinary literacy and really beginning to flesh that out. I like how she put it. Content literacy would be the strategies I use with students to read documents within my U.S. history classes. Disciplinary literacy is using the tools to be able to engage in the work. And I think that's just a great way of summarizing the difference. And we're here now working with early scholars and how do we support them in being successful long term. And right now we're giving them those tools, we're giving them those graphic organizers, but it's the skills that they're learning, like we today during our conversation around the See, Think, Wonder, that idea of helping them develop that idea that when they see something, they can connect that to a wonder. I think those kinds of skills are just so important, and we appreciate the thinking that you all have been putting into those. So again, we've got reading comprehension today. It's really important anytime that we think about giving students something to make sense of in our classroom, that we're arming them with background knowledge, getting them ready to be successful with the tools, giving them a clear purpose for what they're going to be reading or going to be interacting with, and then doing something with that knowledge that they've gained. So I'm excited to see the frameworks that you finish out today. That's going to be our big culminating piece. So a couple quick laundry list of things. Make sure that you go back and that you have submitted all the assignments so that you have done that. Had several people who had gone in and done the work but not submitted. We had a couple people who had Google Docs and Word docs submitted. I think we got most of that worked out. I think I sent some notes, but if you have not received some feedback on your See Think Wonder that was done as a Google Doc, just make sure that you've submitted that and that we have access to it. And then last but certainly not least, also make sure that you go back to the, see, we're real people too. We have real families and things are going on.
Hello, children.
Make sure you've gone back to the Padlets and responded part of the reflections in the morning, or to go back and look at yesterday's reflections, and also the paired verbal fluency that Jen's already talked about, making sure that you've gone through both rounds. So you're giving your feedback, somebody's talking to you, but you're going back and reflecting. I think that prolonged strategy is something to think about as you're working in a COVID environment. How do you have students working asynchronously while you're working through this and developing that routine and pathway? So thank you all so much. It's been a great couple of days, and we got one more day to go.